The clock is ticking, and Trump just issued the kind of ultimatum that could either bring peace to the Middle East or ignite something far worse. 48 hours. That's all Hamas has left before multiple nations step in, and what happens next could change everything. This isn't a negotiation anymore. It's a countdown, and the world is watching every single second. Here's what most people don't realize. While every living hostage has finally made it out of Gaza, 13 bodies are still being held in the darkness. 13 families can't bury their sons, their brothers, their loved ones. And Trump just made it brutally clear through Truth Social that Hamas needs to start returning these remains immediately or face consequences that he's deliberately leaving mysterious. Some of these bodies are supposedly hard to reach, trapped in collapsed tunnels or bombed-out buildings. But others, they could be handed over right now. So why aren't they? Trump's theory cuts deep. He suggested it might be connected to Hamas's disarmament negotiations, meaning they're potentially using dead Americans and Israelis as bargaining chips. Let that sink in for a moment. He warned that his promise to treat both sides fairly only stands if they actually comply with their obligations. The message was ice cold. Play games with us, and this whole deal collapses. And he made sure everyone knew. Other countries involved in what he's calling this great peace are standing by, ready to take action the moment that deadline hits. Among those 13 bodies are 2 young Americans whose stories will break your heart. Ite Chen was just 19 years old, a dual US-Israeli citizen with his whole life ahead of him. When the October 7th attacks happened, everyone thought Hamas had kidnapped him. Months later, the IDF delivered the devastating news. He'd been dead this entire time. Then, there's Omer Nutra, another American whose body Hamas refuses to release. Just hours before Trump dropped his ultimatum, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Ambassador Mike Huckabee sat down with both families in Israel. Rubio posted afterwards that they will not forget these lives stolen by Hamas captivity, and they won't rest until every last body comes home. These aren't just statistics on a ceasefire agreement. They're real people whose families are living in agony. But there's a darker layer to this whole situation that nobody's talking about openly. Hamas freed all the living hostages. So what's the strategic advantage of keeping corpses? Intelligence sources believe it's pure leverage. Some remains genuinely might be buried under rubble in areas too dangerous to access. But the ones they could return today? Those are being held for a reason. Either Hamas is using them as insurance during disarmament talks, or they're testing how far they can push this ceasefire before it shatters. Trump clearly thinks it's the latter, and his patience just ran out. The diplomatic pressure campaign is operating at levels most people never see. Huckabee stated bluntly during his Israel visit that this entire US-brokered peace framework can't move forward until every single hostage, living or deceased, is accounted for. Rubio described the trip as very productive, but here's what that really means in diplomatic language. They're done asking nicely. The visits, the meetings with grieving families, the public statements, it's all building towards something bigger. They're showing Hamas that this isn't just about Trump's ego or political theater. Then Trump pulled a move straight out of his playbook that caught everyone off guard. While flying to Asia on Air Force One, he stopped to refuel in Qatar and turned a fuel stop into a high-stakes negotiating session. Right there on the plane, he met with Qatar's Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. Qatar's been the main mediator between Israel and Hamas throughout this entire war, and Trump knows it. He praised them publicly as some of the greatest leaders in the world, called the Prime Minister his friend, and declared what they've accomplished is incredible peace in the Middle East. But make no mistake, this wasn't just a friendly chat. This was Trump using Qatar's direct connection to Hamas to send a message that couldn't be ignored. So here's the question everyone's asking. What actually goes down when those 48 hours expire? Trump's threat about other countries taking action is purposely vague, and that vagueness might be the most terrifying part. Military airstrikes on Hamas positions, crippling economic sanctions, completely walking away from the ceasefire and letting Israel handle it their way. The uncertainty is intentional, keeping Hamas leadership up at night, trying to figure out if this is real or just pressure tactics. What do you think?